the kitty that was part of the that little cartoonish thing they did. He was the kitten
Mm-hmm.
that I brought upstairs that was that.
Hmm.
Now he's upstairs. He loves water. Oh my God, he loves it. The sink is on. He is under it. He has got his head in it. He is walking around in it. He just loves water.
So that spray bottle does nothing for him, does it?
Nothing. Not even close.
He's like, yes.
He's like, I love it. Give it to me. But if he sees a glass, oh my gosh, he is all over that, and that glass is toast. So I can't even possibly not pay attention to my glass when him being in the room.
Get like one of those little kiddie pools and just let him go.
Ooh, a
He
kiddie
loves
pool.
that stuff. He would
Oh.
be all about that. Rick's daughter just got a kitten and named it Bean.
Oh, perfect.
Toe beans for the bean. Look on the cat's face was someone save me.
No.
He didn't want to be saved. He was loving it.
Yeah, that's your excuse.
He was purring. That means he's social. He was
There you
loving it.
go.
Well, okay. I'll take that under advisement. I'll
If
allow
you've
it.
owned enough cats, you lots of people say, "Oh, it's purring, it's happy." That's not exactly true. Purring means I'm social. I welcome this contact. I welcome the attention that you are giving me. Because sadly, even a cat that's dying sometimes is purring. It's a marker that they are welcoming the contact. They are welcoming the interaction.
Yep. Yep. One of mine is terribly anxious and she'll still purr up a storm, but it's like eyes wide and claws out. It's like, okay, hi, we're here.
I thought my cat was weird.
Oh,
What are you
mine,
doing?
she's a nut job. But she's mine. Or maybe she's a nut job because she's mine. Hello, Dorian.
He says, "I can get this glass. I can do it."
That handsome boy.
So it's beginning to seem like the first 3 minutes of the show are cat and tell
I
instead of show and
mean,
tell. Cat and tell.
is there a problem with that?
Who was that?
I don't know. We'll see.
Somebody came up to the top of the stairs. That's what.
Yeah, bad putty.
Well, we've got the one kitty wandering around downstairs, and somebody came upstairs and made ugly noises at Domino.
Ah,
Oh, no. Them was
Poor
fighting
Domino.
words.
yeah, that's what we're going with. All right, let's kick this puppy off. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul E. Cooley. Joining me, as always, Veronica Giguere and Mr. Terry Mixon. How are y'all?
Present.
Good.
V,
What?
something interesting happened to you this week, didn't it?
Yes. Some
Okay.
some interesting things happened. Sure. It's still the
Okay,
second
don't
week of
share
school over
or
here. I'm
elucidate or
exhausted.
anything.
No, no. Let's see what happened. I wrote words. That's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote words on projects. Um, essentially, I'm having fun getting characters stuck in horrible places with really, really bad ship captains and having them get out of awful situations and punishing said ship captains.
Gotcha.
So there's always that. More recording. I have pickups back. So I've got to do pickups on Monday, I think. And prepping a book for Terry. Still working on the public domain project. I have a potential cover for the book that I'm writing with Misty. Can't show it yet, but it's pretty. It's so pretty, and it was great. I saw it. I squealed over it. I messaged her. I'm like, I know it sounds like it might sound a bit extra, but I need a poster. I just need that like as a big poster because the colors are pretty. Now that it has my name on it, I just think the colors are freaking pretty. And she's like, you can just ask the publisher to send you one of the posters that they use for promos. And I'm like, I could. I really could. And part of me wonders if now that they have a cover and a title and a tentative release date, if they're going to talk about it at DragonCon. Because
that'd be cool.
a lot of times Baen has their traveling roadshow that they do at the bigger cons. And it's been, oh goodness, it's been at least 10 years since I've been in DragonCon. Okay, the feline mafia has now
you
taken
get the feeling
over
that Terry just got eaten by his cats. Jesus.
Dad stepped away. We has taken over the show.
They're everywhere. They're just everywhere.
I mean, I have no problem with it. I'm just like, as long as he's able to sit back down. Oh,
There is chaos going on downstairs. Apparently somebody was chasing somebody else, and now that's got everybody up here going, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
Freaking cats.
babies. Oh, so yeah, that and bowling. Bowling season has started for high school, so I am in a bowling alley 4 days a week, at least 2 hours at a time, trying to direct younger high school children to bowl properly and to have better attitudes about it.
So here's my question. With youth bowling, how old do you have to be before they give you your first beer? And is there some kind of rite of passage where, you know, you have to have your first strike, you drink your first beer? Is that how that works?
Well, so fun fact, there are actually very stringent rules about the presence of alcohol at youth events, which is to say that if it's a youth event, the bar may not be open for anyone. So
that's no fun.
There's that. However, I know last year during high school bowling season at one point, there was a parent who went to the bar, got a drink, and brought it back out to the youth event. And I'm sitting there going, no, we can't do that. And I guess somebody else saw and said something to said parent who was like, what, you want me to dump it out? And we're like, just no, walk back in the bar and drink
Finish
the beer
it.
and then come back out. But I had to actually write that on my parent rules for this year, just to make sure, because 90% of the people will be like, people actually do that? That's silly. And like, and then there'll be the 10% like, oh, you mean I can't? I'm like, sorry, you can't.
Beer parents and competitions typically don't mix well. Oh, I agree with that, Rick.
Yes, and there is enough challenge trying to wrangle sober parents who have opinions about their kids' performance or lack thereof. There are few more profound cases of Dunning-Kruger syndrome than those that exist with 8th, 9th, and 10th grade boys when it comes to sports. Even when I have numbers. So.
Instant asshole parent. Just add beer.
Exactly. And I don't get paid for this, so I clearly do not get paid enough to deal with people like that. So yeah, and they'll make me cry. One confrontation like that, I'll burst into tears. It'll be ugly. So, yeah.
Well, apart from that, has there been anything else?
Anything else? I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough.
This time of year, my brain is just like, I'm waiting till the next day and trying to catch up on stuff. So yeah, it's hectic, but probably not as hectic as Terry's house with all of the cats in their new spots.
Yeah,
We
what
still
about
haven't
you?
released Latte yet. That's going to cause even more chaos.
Adding caffeine to the mix usually does.
Yeah, I don't recommend that. What's up with you, Terry?
A little bit of writing, a lot of doing other projects and having good time. But the other projects are about to come to a close because I got 35 days to finish this novel at this point, so it's time to get busy on that. 35 days, something like that.
And how far through of it are you?
Oh, I'm easily 10% in.
Oh, okay.
got this.
No worries there.
I thought you were going to say, well, I haven't really started it yet.
No, I've started, but I haven't gone very far in.
Okay.
I say 10%, but I usually run about 40 chapters, and I've done about 4 chapters, so that is pretty accurate.
Okay. Fair enough.
But I tend, when I get myself to writing at a comfortable rate, I'm putting out 2 chapters a day, so it's not like I'm at crunch time or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because last 2 times seems like it was...
It's not going to be that way this time. They've given me extra time that I promptly squandered and did on other projects, but that's okay.
But there's no house construction right now. You won't have to, stop and look for tile that was mysteriously placed somewhere.
Which still has never been found, so it'll turn up at some point. It's probably in the dryer. Yeah, just like everything else. It's with the socks that you can't.
Exactly. You're going to find half of it there.
Or it's with those mismatched Tupperware lids.
Oh, God, I hate those.
One of the things that I did yesterday that I thought was interesting is I've been obsessing about doing Traveler-related stuff. So it's been a lot of fun doing it. I was messing around because I want to do some deck plans for some of these ships that I'm building. And I wanted to improve my grid layout before I started, because I got a package of lots of pre-made pieces parts you basically just put down and you make your own deck plans out of it. So you don't have to design the chairs, design the tables, design the staterooms, whatnot. It's just a little pieces parts that you put together and assemble your own deck plans. But I needed to go ahead and have a clean grid layout to lay everything down with. And so it was me listening to YouTube videos yesterday and figuring out how to make a grid using Photoshop. It's not as difficult as one might think, but it took me a while to get what I wanted.
Interesting. So that's how you've been squandering your time. Got it.
Yes, it is. That's what I've been doing. What is your question, V? I see a question in your face.
I wonder why you used Photoshop and didn't go to a website, like a tabletop website where you can download those kinds of things as PDFs.
I can easily answer that question because I needed the squares to be of a precise size. I needed the line thickness to be of a precise size.
Okay.
So to get that, I needed to make my own. And it wasn't hard. Once I figured out how to do it, it was a matter of, okay, well, that's too small. Add a few pixels here. Let's try this. Oh, no, that's a little too large. Oh, the lines are too thick. Oh, okay, that's it. Got it. Then I was selecting colors. What color works good for the grid line? Things along those lines.
Okay.
It was
Makes sense.
As someone who can hyper focus in on graphics and stuff, I totally understand that.
So that's what you've been doing, huh?
What about you, Paul?
Nothing good.
Uh-oh.
I stopped writing on camp for reasons, and working on Medusa Zone Part 2 right now. So there is going to be a TMZ 2, and I was telling one of my friends, I was like, there's 2 ways I can write this. I can write this from this perspective or this perspective, and they went, why not both? And I went, we're going to write another 60,000 worder, aren't we? Limit's supposed to be 50. I'm going to do 60 again. That's how that's going to work. So anyway, I'm kind of plotting that out, getting characters together and getting ready to throw them into hell. So in other words, all the fun. Other than that, unfortunately, this week has not been kind to my family. So there's just more, just seems like there's always more fun to be had. And lately it's been too much fun. So anyway, it's been an interesting couple of days. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But other than that, Sakulina is up and available on Audible.
Yay.
Yay, finally. So it's up there. The podcast is being put out there, and so if you're interested in what kind of crazy I wrote there, you should go check that out. Other than that, I did this horrible thing where I mainlined a couple episodes of Alien Earth.
How'd that turn out for you?
Oh, you look disgruntled. I want to hear this.
I'm not disgruntled. Exactly.
Are you gruntled then?
I might be very gruntled. What is the definition of being gruntled anyway?
Isn't it
Actually,
kind of the
gruntled
opposite of
means you're pleased
disgruntled?
with something. I'll find the
Displeased with
actual
something.
definition, but
So disgruntled.
I want to go ahead and have something pleasant happen and go, this makes me feel gruntled.
Gruntled.
all right. Gruntled, informal, often humorous, in good humor, happy, contented. Examples of gruntled in a sentence. Once he was gruntled. A wife and a kid a good job, but because he devoted too much time to the latter, the formers packed up and left. Or once he was happy, okay.
Hey, baby, you want to touch my gruntle?
Oh, hey now, this isn't After Dark.
Interesting. The etymology is a back formation from disgruntled. So disgruntled happened first, and then gruntled was pulled from that. So
Okay. Holy cow. All right, so I'm disgruntled a little bit in a couple of ways. Paul and happy / contented in the same sentence. Rick doesn't buy it. Yeah, I don't buy it either. So I've watched 3 episodes of this thing. Mm-hmm. And I guess what I'm going to do, let's talk about what's bugging me. What's bugging me about this?
okay.
Tell us more.
Now, I will do my best not to be spoilerific, but here's the deal.
You liar.
I will only count the first 5 minutes of the thing, which they tell you in the previews anyway.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
in the original Alien, before all the sequels, before all the bullshit and everything else, you had a ship, the Nostromo, that went out to do its mining refinery thing. And on its way back in, it got called to check out a moon because there was some kind of signal coming from it. They investigate. John Hurt ends up with a thing on his face. It ultimately, lays eggs in his stomach, and then the xenomorph pops out of his chest and kills everybody but Sigourney Weaver and the cat. That's basically how that works. Aliens, you had a bunch of aliens running around instead of just one. And you had Marines getting their asses kicked by it. Great movie. Third one, less said about that, the better. The fourth one, less said about that one, the better. The best, I should say. So now we're in this interesting part where they're trying to...
Reimagine?
It's not even that. Between Alien and Aliens, there's 46 years.
Okay. So
46
loophole?
years. Huh?
So they're a loophole. They're trying to explain a break or something that happened to sandwich in.
No. They're putting it before Alien.
Yeah, you could tell it from the previews that they put out. It's like on near modern day Earth.
It's only about 4 years before Alien takes place, is what I can tell.
Okay.
Make of that what you will. So that bugs me, because it shouldn't be there. The other thing that bugs me is at the very beginning, they tell you that there's basically a couple of companies. Weyland-Yutani is the one that's featured in the Alien flicks, but there's another company, and all these companies are working on trying to create essentially longevity. They want to be able to, they're trying to find the secret to immortality, so to speak. So it involves a lot of computer stuff, involves a lot of strange experiments and everything else. And of course, you have synthetics running around who are androids. Very human, very sentient androids.
And they are murderous, as we all know.
And they can be extremely murderous. So those folks exist. There's regular humans. And then they bring in cyborgs. Where the fuck did cyborgs come from? Cyborgs haven't been mentioned in any of the other flicks. None. Or the books. Where the fuck did this come from? That bugged me. Oh, V, you're muted. Oh, you're not talking to me. Anyway.
No, I was.
Oh, okay.
But the the timelines for all of these things. So the original Alien takes place in the year 2122. And then if we're looking at timeline, the stuff that comes before and after that, Prometheus chronologically should be the first one.
Correct.
Because it's set in 2089. And then Alien Covenant is set in 2104. The one that the television series that we're talking about right now is set 2 years before the original film. So Alien Earth is set in 2120.
Okay.
And then everything else happens after that. So if you're saying, well, what's established where? The continuity should come from Prometheus and Covenant.
It don't.
What the crap? Because because that right there, that is those are book throwing crimes. Those are the sorts of things you're reading the book and you get so disgusted, you're like, what the hell? And the book gets flung.
Which is why I'm going to ask a question soon that relates directly to that. And we'll get to that in a second. First of all, Prometheus and Covenant were not both trash. They're just different. I actually enjoyed those flicks. Continuity suggests logic and giving a shit about story. I don't think they give a shit. Was Ridley Scott trying to tie together his two best movies. Yeah, and I think I like what they're doing, but I'd be better off if it wasn't Weyland-Yutani and if it wasn't Aliens, if it was something else. It didn't need to tie back. I think this would be a far more interesting series if it was not connected to the alien mythos at all. Because then you don't get these problems you have where this is rewriting everything, whether or not they intended to or not. It is rewriting everything. It's rewriting canon completely in so many ways. So from a fan of the original films, the first two, that bothers me a lot. It bothers me tremendously that they chose to do that when they didn't have to. But you know what it is? It's 20th Century Fox saying just Fox, whatever they're called now. We have the IP. We need to do something with this IP. Somebody gets an idea for, we tie it back into Alien. That's a popular IP that we got. And there you go. They figure out how to wheel the series into it. They could have done it better. Really could have done it better from that standpoint.
Because then I think in a lot of these cases, if you've got the IP and you're trying to tie stuff back with creating a prequel or a bridge, so much stuff is out there. You are insulting fans of the original and also the integrity of the original storyline and universe by not sticking to it.
Correct.
And there are ways to expand and to add in new ideas, but this is like not the way to do it.
It really irked me in so many ways because they have, I think, the makings of a really good story. They have the makings of a really good conflict between, different factions who are trying to go through immortality or find immortality in different ways. Part of that is basically using synthetics and putting human minds in, and the other part, instead of using a robot brain, you're basically giving them a human brain, but a synthetic body. Then you've got the people who are cyborgs who have some or most of their limbs have been swapped out for whatever reason for stuff that is cybernetic in nature. So they have artificial limbs that can do all sorts of crazy stuff. And then, of course, you've got the hapless humans running around. That's a really good mix for some fantastic conflict, but it didn't need to be Alien. I have two warring companies. It didn't need to be Alien. It could have been anything. It could have been Bob's Discount Robots, and the other one could just be called, Flinging Dreams or something. It wouldn't matter. You can show off how evil the corporation is in about 10 minutes. That's all it takes. And it doesn't take a whole lot more than that to basically set that up. So it would have been nice had they done that. I would have enjoyed the first 3 episodes better if it wasn't Alien.
But would it have been sold in the first place if it wasn't Alien?
Probably not. And therein lies the rub.
Yeah.
Therein lies the rub. Probably not. So I'm looking at it from a creator perspective and a fan perspective, I guess I should say, because I am a big fan of the franchise. It's one of the seminal movies. It really is. Alien. It's one of the first movies that scared the ever-loving shit out of me. So, of course, I watch it 2 or 3 times a year, minimum. It just seemed like it was a disservice to the people who are fans of the original and fans of the continuity. Mm-hmm. Yes, I said no. I did not say I only like the first 2 movies. I said they're my favorites. The others were kind of meh. 3 and 4 did not need to happen. So this leads up to a question. We are creatures who take in media. We consume books. We consume TV. We consume radio, music, whatever you want to call it. We consume content constantly. So we get an idea for a story. We get an idea for a world, and we say, "Oh, I want it to be like Alien." In the sense of, I like the idea of Weyland-Yutani. You could also say in Resident Evil, I like the idea of the Umbrella Corporation. Those 2 things are very well related in many, many ways. And it just makes you wonder what can you steal from this as a writer, a creator who's trying to basically create their own world. What can you steal from these examples? And is this cyberpunk? Do you have an answer for that?
Do you? What's your answer?
My answer is yes.
Was the original cyberpunk?
No.
Okay. Because I think, I think if you've got a series, if you've got an IP and a series, everything should be in the same genre in that series. Because if you start hopping genres within the series, then you start alienating people. Because folks, like we've said in other shows and discussions, genres generate certain reader and viewer and listener expectations.
Right.
And by hopping genres, you are not going to be able to fulfill those expectations on a regular basis.
Yeah, so Alien Earth has all these elements of cyberpunk in it.
Yeah.
It has the high tech, it has the glitz, it has the evil corporations, it has literally people working contracts. You make a contract with a company and you are stuck for however long that you've signed up. They will not let you out of that shit. That's very dystopian. That goes along with the cyberpunk as well. You've got everybody trying to manufacture new weapons. They want bioweapons. They want new viruses. All the while they're trying to make something that they can sell that keeps you alive forever, ironically. That's very cyberpunk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first movie, the only thing cyberpunk about it in any way, shape, fashion, or form was a sentient AI. Well, not a non-sentient AI, I guess, Mother, the ship. But that really jumped out at me as this is just not the same story. It's not even the same universe in a lot of ways. They basically grabbed some names, they grabbed some labels, and they slapped it on a new story, and then, put the tie-in in there to get everybody to watch it. So, I'm irked, but I'm intrigued. I'm doing my best with this series to basically push off all my expectations, all my grousings about how it doesn't fit in the timeline, and just enjoy it for what it is.
Okay.
So far, that's going okay. I'm intrigued about what they're going to do with the cyborg person. And I think it's just an interesting conflict they've got set up. And I really want to know how they're going to try and do this, because it can go horribly wrong and make me want to throw the TV across the room, or it can be excellent. And I'm still not sure which way it's going to tilt.
Okay.
Did I say cyberpunk? James says Ash was synthetic and Mother was, and they talked about the bonus situation constantly. Yes, very cyberpunk in those ways. But it wasn't. It didn't have the same feel to it, probably because they were on a ship, whereas Alien Earth takes place on Earth. So you get to see the cities, you get to see the people, you get to see the grime, the grunge, the poverty, as well as the rich. You get that entire stratification that you cannot get on a ship with 8 people or 9 people or however many it was. So I don't know. Big twist: the cyborg will be Data's grandfather. That's a bit of a stretch. I could totally see that. That would be funny. That would be some funny shit. That would be. So what are you? I find it very interesting you saying on genre hopping around the series.
Yeah. Because it. When you've got properties that extend for so long, they wind up sitting in the same. They sit in the same genre, and if they edge too far out, then that's when diehard's like, no, that doesn't work. You can look at all of the Star Trek properties that have been there, and the reason why they all fit, one, they all tie together, and that's
they're episodic.
Yeah, well, it's not just they're episodic, but characters are used and reused, plot hooks are used and reused, and not in a bad way. They're tied in as, well, we expect this to happen because of X, Y, and Z, or if this condition is met, this condition is met, and this condition is met, it's probably this big bad, and then we'll see how this new crew gets to deal with it. So, but it all is still science fiction, space opera-esque, and you have the parameters there.
James says, V, you obviously didn't see the pure toxic outrage about Discovery.
Wait a second. Hang on. I've got to... That...
Discovery is it had its issues.
So hang on.
Uh-oh.
So... Star Trek Discovery, one, there was a lot of time travel, and spoilers, whatever, y'all can deal with me. It's been out since 2017. So there's that. Other people felt that there were certain characterizations and relationships that did not fit the traditional Star Trek bit. And quite frankly, I can say, screw that. I kind of loved Discovery. And I will maintain that Anthony Rapp is the best Star Wars dad ever. Come fight me. Not necessarily the best engineer, but the best Star Trek dad.
What I'm going to say about it is that I didn't have any trouble with the characterizations. I had trouble with some of the technological and plot tangents that they flew off on and where the storylines went. And it really did wander pretty far afield from what one would consider Star Trek.
Okay.
So again, the question is, does it really need to belong in that universe?
In certain aspects and storylines did, because they relied upon the tenets of, or they relied upon key either characters or factions within the Star Trek universe. But I think I think the challenge is they jumped so far ahead and extrapolated so much with certain technologies that it was very hard to tie back.
Gotcha.
And like right now, Strange New Worlds, which I'm also loving. I'm several episodes behind, but they have the unique challenge of saying, well, we don't have this technology yet, or this. Okay. So I think I'm 4 or 5 episodes in for the new season. There is a holodeck episode. Now, holodeck episodes are standard within, not necessarily TOS, but they are
TNG.
standard within the later Star Trek bits. I mean, Next Generation, those were like the fun filler, goofy episodes with the holodeck. But there's a holodeck episode to kind of explain where this started. Why do they have a holodeck? Who thought of this? And then the questions, what does it do to the actual, ship environment? And using that as a what if. And it creates another set of problems. But those who have watched all of these other iterations of Star Trek are like, oh, well, we just always assumed all of this was taken care of. But now the plot is, while the holodeck's running, what the hell is happening with the ship? And why is this a problem? And it's really neat. I think there's a bit of it. I'm not sure about how they solve the mystery in the holodeck. I'm not sure how I approve of that. It seems a little bit too convenient. But it still fits. And I think sometimes it's easier if you pay attention to go back. So prequels are a little easier because you can step back and explain certain things versus like with Discovery, jumping so far forward and saying, oh, we've got this big technology and this big technology. And it's like Terry said, it goes too far from the widening circle that is acceptable. And I think sometimes if you want to get that far, you have to tease it out and just make like one little change, 2 little changes. Big changes, and it's like, no, you cannot do that.
Let's see. James says, people complaining about a tardigrade or spore drive, but Q, the demigod, is okay.
I didn't have problems with the spore drive or the tardigrade. It really is, they took the stories so far away from what intrinsically made Star Trek for me, that it was like you were talking with Alien Earth. It's a different critter.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And that would be when something is so far removed from the source material in time. I could definitely see how that kind of drift would be a real problem. Because you do have to start from zero and explain everything all over again.
If someone was a big Star Trek fan and somehow ended up watching some episodes in season 2 or season 3 of Discovery, they might be scratching their head going, what am I watching? What they're wearing Star Trek, they're wearing Starfleet uniforms sort of, but what the hell is this?
Do they have spangles? Do they have spangles on their uniform?
I did not see any spangles, no.
No, there were no spangles. But there were...
Oh, when they changed the uniforms, the new uniforms they went to were crap, too. Ugh.
And those shoes and that bag. Oh, and that haircut. Sorry, channeling Airplane again. Nobody got the joke.
But no, I think it is because because genres have expectations. It's only natural to, when you're trying to create your own world, you're going to go to popular properties and see, well, what can I pull or tweak what would make sense. Like a lot of your space opera stuff will pull off of Star Trek.
Sure.
Your more plucky, adventurous, yeah, I have a ship and I'm being all scrappy about it, they're going to pull from Firefly.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can say Firefly pulled from Outlaw Star, but then we're getting into niche anime. I feel bad. I think Xander. I know I get into the whole Outlaw Star conversation because there are super, super close similarities with Firefly. But yeah, there's, like you said, there's with space horror, there's Alien. People, if they're writing superhero stuff, you can look at like the Marvel side or the DC side and figure out how you're going to, you're going to crib Gotham and, do something with that. Or are you going to go something more like Marvel-esque? I mean, look at The Boys.
She's not wrong.
The Boys is a giant ripoff of everything, and then swirling it into a blender and lighting it on fire.
It is, but if you hold it up, it's like, is it more Marvel, or is it closer to Marvel or DC with how they interpret their heroes?
It's DC. I think it's DC.
You think so?
Homelander is obviously Superman. But I think it has more of a grim, dark DC feel to it. With Marvel, usually doesn't get. At least some of the Marvel stuff I know gets very can get very dark. But I can see Batman, The Dark Knight, taking place in that particular world that they've built. I can see that taking place in that New York.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. Because I would say that the way that the heroes or the superpower individuals interpret themselves is almost closer to a Marvel interpretation because it's. I'm saying that and I'm not sure now.
I honestly have not read enough of comics, apart from some graphic novels, to really have any knowledge of the differences, the big differences. I just always heard you grow up, you start on DC, and then you grow up and you do Marvel. That's all I remember hearing. But it is kind of bizarre.
Huh.
James says in relation to Alien Earth, they did kind of set up Alien Earth to show how people are vastly uninformed about the world. Yes. So already, nobody in the Prodigy City really is aware aliens were ever there. That is correct. I got no problem with that. The problem is, they've created a serious conundrum for themselves. They already found the xenomorph years and years and years before Sigourney Weaver and the crew of the Nostromo encountered the xenomorph. Therefore, they had to have programmed Mother to take them out to the refinery area and then go back where this sample was originally gone from and make that their mission. At least in my head.
Maybe they did.
And that's the way that's the way to make it work. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm going to have to see how they do and what they do. It has possibilities. And like I said, I really do. I'm digging the characters. I like what they're doing. It doesn't feel like Alien.
No, I get that. There are a lot of times when a property gets reinterpreted, either it goes from like graphic novel to on screen or reverse. Somebody takes the movie and then they do a bunch of novel tie-ins. It doesn't always have the same sense to it, and you can still like both. I feel horrible to admit this, but guilty pleasure. So the CW, again, if you want like total popcorn, turn
my
your
respect
brain
for
off.
you is dropping by this second.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Uh-oh.
So Riverdale. It was the CW version of Riverdale.
I watched it.
Okay. But the first handful of seasons were decent, and then it just kind of really went off the deep end. I stopped watching. It was fun if I sat and went, okay, this is an interpretation based off of the decades of comics.
Right.
And the ideas of these characters, let's reinterpret them in a new spot.
Right.
And if I did that, that was fine. Now, I married someone who has been collecting Archie comics for a long time.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. And so it was very much of this is not what it's supposed to be. That is not what Archie is like. That is so not Jughead. Really? Really? They're doing this with the characters? And why are they elevating these minor characters? I'm like, because they're using the characters and writing to a different audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to accept that derivative works bear very little relation to the actual works.
Yes.
And when it's intentional, it's fine as long as they did it with respect to the original material in some ways.
Right.
Otherwise, why have it? Why have the tie-in at all? See, James says, to be fair, Alien is a monster in a house movie. Alien is a slasher flick. And Aliens is soldier versus aliens. This is true. The sci-fi horror is always there, but all the movies try to do their own story. That is very true, too.
Slasher flicks are monster in house movies.
I would say a monster in a house movie is a slasher flick.
But what I'm saying is, if you like so oddly enough, if you go to Save the Cat, so our other little alien, that's where it comes from. But they do categorize like different plot groups, and the monster in the house is the plot group. Okay. So I get what James is saying here.
But Alien is a slasher flick.
Oh yeah.
You dress it up however you want, but it's Jason running around as an alien. That's basically what it is. Now, granted, it doesn't feel like that because there's no camp to it. There's nothing campy about that movie.
No, I just now have a horrible image of like a xenomorph with a ghost face mask on going around.
That was fucking gold. Call the assholes and make those movies. Scary Movie Part 7 or whatever the fuck. That would be awesome. I'd love that. I'd love that shit. That'd be great.
And then you have the Predator coming in from the place. He's got one on. And then there's a face off.
And then and then all the face huggers are snapping their fingers.
So arrest me, just make it sexy.
Oh my god.
As the xenomorphs begin singing.
Oh god.
And then we're just gonna get Spaceballs. Hello, my baby. Hello.
The Boys is an equal opportunity offender ripping off of and abusing across the board. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I know Friday the 13th was 1980. I know Aliens preceded it. My point is, it's the trope. What made Aliens so incredibly cool is they took the idea of a slasher flick and then dressed it up in something just completely horrifying and scary. As the guy with a sword or machete doesn't really scare me. Something that sprays acid for blood, scuttles across the floor, and can basically wrap you up in a cocoon and leave you hanging from the ceiling, that's fucking something to be afraid of.
I guarantee if a guy is chasing you with a machete, you're going to be afraid of that.
I will turn around and make things work. I can't run that fast. I got to have other options.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, I would say that Alien Earth is worth checking out. I would also say you just have to temper your expectations. And if you're not really a big fan of the Alien franchises, you'll be fine. You won't know the difference. You won't care. The rest of us,
So what you're
however,
saying is ignorance could be bliss.
I think ignorance is bliss when you're going into a property like this where they've reinvented the IP. I think the ignorance is bliss, not having seen the original.
As George Carlin said, if ignorance is bliss, why are there so many pissed off, stupid people around?
Because ignorant doesn't mean stupid. They're two different things. But I get the comparison there completely. I think if you take it for what it is, you'll enjoy it. If you like kind of sci-fi horror with mixed with some serious action, mixed with all this cyberpunk dressing that's going on, and all the politics are about to explode in episode 4. It's setting up a really interesting world. So I'm curious to see how they're going to tie it all together and if they can. I'm dubious, but I'm willing to stick around for the ride. So we'll see how things work. But I wanted to bring that up because it just did not need to be an alien thing. It just didn't need it. It could have just been reimagined and it'd be okay. So it is what it is. Anyway, the timeline is all fucked up. They did all this. They changed this. They changed that.
And
So
what
it just would've been
can
better.
we as writers learn about that?
Don't do it!
Well, we can learn that sometimes it doesn't work to, if you have a good story idea, you don't necessarily need to shove it into the box of a series you already have. Sometimes, if it's a good story idea, let it sit on its own and create something new.
Amen. Amen.
But that being said, you can't use Alien Earth because we talked about it, or the Alien franchise. What property would you like to crib from for your own? So what would you use as like a basis for a completely new series or a completely new set of stories for yourself?
Ooh,
For both of you.
That's a really interesting question. Huh. I don't know that I have an answer to this question because I've already stolen everything.
Darn it.
I mean, M2 is basically 3 of my favorite movies, creatures put together. It's The Blob, it's John Carpenter's The Thing, and it's Alien. It's
Obviously,
different
you
trappings.
need to roll Muppets into this.
I got tagged
See,
on
the two
Facebook
of you are
about
making
something
this
with Muppets.
sound, and I'm thinking, I could totally see Paul like pulling a monster flick and heading into the Dark Crystal verse. I totally could.
Oh, here's an interesting comment. Do it deliberately and be open and direct about it.
You
If
can.
you say it's a reimagining, then everybody will give you leeway. If you say it fits in the timeline, not so much.
No, then you have to get permission.
Kermit the Avenger.
Green
and the Black.
Avenger.
Muppets and the Black combined would be something crazy.
I think
This I
one of-
like. At least they didn't make the alien the creation of a glitching synthetic. This is true. Although I think Prometheus and Covenant make that kind of impossible, but still. What other...
What about you? So while Paul's thinking, what about you, Terry?
Well, I crib from all kinds of stuff. It's not going to be horror, mind you.
Right.
But,
Well, we're not
yeah.
limiting genre here.
I steal stuff from David Weber's books. That's Kelsey. What She Became is definitely cribbed pretty heavily from that. I'm not shy. I'll steal from just about anybody and go ahead and shave the serial numbers, file those little suckers off, and place them in there. I'm not ashamed.
You're not ashamed. How dare you? How dare you? When I built Derelict, the Derelict Saga universe, I didn't really... I kind of stole some pieces from BSG in the sense of how their government worked and in the worst parts of it, and then added my own fears about quote-unquote artificial intelligence and the effects of automations on human, making them dumber and dumber and dumber. And then maxing it out with, okay, well, if the humans are too dumb, who's taking care of shit? The AIs. Do the humans realize this? No. And when the AIs get tired of it, they're going to change it. And they've been plotting it for 100 years. So it's going to be ugly, it's going to be nasty, and a lot of humans are going to die. Tough shit. But that's how I built that world, and that's how I built the way the military works there. Everything else was all stems from that. And I hadn't really seen that kind of relationship yet in media. And I think it's just because I'm not well enough read or well enough watched to see where basically the humans have become subservient without even knowing it. So that was just one thing I wanted to be I wanted to make it different in that sense, so it made everything else make sense as to why they do what they do. Rick says, then the humans get put in pods and become batteries.
And then we have the Matrix.
Really crappy batteries with bad attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't have a bad attitude if you're comatose. Don't you know this yet? Don't you know these things? So what I would love is if y'all, those of you who are into this kind of stuff, go and watch the first episode. Even if you're not into this stuff, go watch the first episode, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about. But like I said, it's interesting. It is interesting. The world is interesting. It just didn't need to be Weyland-Yutani and didn't need to be alien. That's my only gripe. But the world building is good. World building is really great so far. We'll see if it gets even crazier than what it is now. So I think there's stuff that you can learn from that as to how they put that world together without really, they didn't really have any ideas of what Earth looked like during the alien movies.
If not Weyland-Yutani, you should just go ahead and have Cyberdyne Systems go ahead and build this for you.
Where do you think they got Cyberdyne from? I think it's just a cutoff. I think it's just a subsidiary of Weyland-Yutani. Weyland-Yutani fell through a wormhole and created the Terminator. That's how that works. Anyway, it's fun. It was fun. So that was my soapbox, Blue Sun Industries. I used to work for a company called BSI. Don't ever do that again. And the Terrell Corporation, yes. I was going to say, that's right. There are definitely some elements of Blade Runner. And how could there not?
Right, because
how could there not
cyberpunk. Be? Like, that's what most people immediately associate with cyberpunk is Blade Runner.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just fascinating to look at all these different things and then see how the trappings get changed. But if you're already comfortable with the trappings and then suddenly they completely change the trappings on you, are you really in the same series or are you really in the same story again? Thinking not. Ridley Scott has been trying to tie Blade Runner into Alien for decades. You might be right about that.
I mean,
that's kind of impossible to do from my standpoint, but
yeah, it's. I think, and I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've watched Blade Runner, and I am not nearly as well versed in the alien movies because I am not a horror fan. I'm good at narrating it. I just don't necessarily. There's a lot visually and orally that I've got to like pace out for myself. But I think the technology conventions between the two are so dissonant that it's very and the interpretations of the world at certain times. Sure, you could have one event that kind of ties everything together way back at the beginning, but then it's got to have everything happen in both universes. Something has to give. Some decision or two or three have to be made, and then, yes one way, no the other way.
James, you're going to have to point me to that exact. I have those movies, and I don't remember that conversation ever taking place. It's an interesting concept, though. I never saw that.
Just fall down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, pretty much. Thanks
That'll
for
be
that,
the rest of
buddy.
his sleep-deprived day.
Pretty much. Thanks for that. Well, now we've talked about that for an hour. If you have a question or comment about this show, you can go to our website, deadrobotssociety.com, punch that contact button, and send us an email. You can join our Discord server and see all the crazy lunatics that are there. The link is in the show notes. And you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS Podcast, where we are live every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST, except when we're not. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one coming up in just about 10 minutes. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Juan Valentin, James Terrell, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And my voice is going bye-bye, and I have no idea why.
Because you're tired.
Yeah, I'm tired. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Hope you had fun, and we will see you next week.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Until then, dream of large, people. Large.
That's where back problems